Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our 3/16/22 Wine and Dine. We are celebrating St. Patty's Day, which is tomorrow. So hence the green and gold leprechaun regalia everybody is wearing. We have some amazing cooks that's going to be cooking traditional, authentic Irish cuisine tonight. And according to Mr. Peter, based on what we're cooking, you should have, ta-da, one of these two, which is the More Than Muse California Chardonnay, in the camera, or the Discovery Sauvignon Blanc. Either one of those, he said, will pair well with what our cooks are cooking today. So sit back, relax. We're going to have a wonderful toast from our wonderful leader, Mr. Roy Rickard, to get us started. So raise your glasses. I got a green drink.
May the sneaky leprechauns bring you treasures of gold under your pillow tomorrow. Cheers.
Cheers.
All righty. So tonight we got a treat for you. We got two appetizers. Miss Stacy is going to be cooking us some potato bites. We got Miss Darlena is going to be cooking us some, I think she said potato nachos. Is that what I think she said? And then we have Miss Shar is going to be cooking us a coddle. Is that how you said it?
Dublin coddle.
Dublin coddle. And then Miss Lori is doing our dessert, which is going to be an apple cake, is what I was told. It all sounds delicious. I know, right now. Woo! And interspersed between all of our wonderful cooking, we're going to have some tidbits and information on some marketing techniques and tips, and also some good information, pros, cons, folklore, myths, fact information about St. Patrick's Day. So be ready to enjoy yourself. We're going to start with Miss Stacy. Take it away, my dear. You're muted.
Let's shut down chat, please. There's a few that admins need to go through and take care of. Thank you. So potato skin bites. We all know that the Irish lived on their potatoes. And so what I'm doing is, instead of the double stuffed potatoes where you have to bake the potato and cut it in half and scoop it out and then redo it all, I am actually making slices of the potato. I'm using my crinkle cut from Pampered Chef. And I am currently baking them or roasting them in my air fryer oven that I've got. And then I'm going to be, after they're baked through, I'm going to be topping them with bacon bits and cheddar cheese, broiling them till it's melted, and topping it with sour cream and onion chives. So I'll be
perfect.
I've got the first batch cooking. So.
All right. So where is Miss Darlena? She has our second appetizer.
There we go. Hi, everybody. So mine is a little different take on what Stacy's doing. So I am doing Irish pub nachos. Irish love potatoes, just like Stacy said. So I've already sliced them up with my mandolin. So they're all pretty uniform. About 1/4 inch is what they recommend. I've never made these before. I had to find some recipes, but I'm gonna drizzle just a little bit of olive oil on it. And thyme from my herb garden. I live in California and our weather is so mild that we can have an herb garden all year. Eat your heart out, northern people. A little bit of rosemary. Salt and pepper. A little bit of pepper. Okay, I'm going to toss it. While I'm tossing this, I wanted to find out if you guys had heard about the priest who was driving from Boston to New York, and along the way, a paratrooper pulled him over. And when the paratrooper got up the car, he smelled alcohol on the priest's breath, and he noticed a wine bottle on the floor. So while he talked to the priest, he said, "Sir, have you been drinking?" The priest said, "Only water." The priest says, "Well, then why do I smell wine on your breath?" The priest looks over at the wine bottle, back at the trooper, and says, "Oh my Lord, he did it again." Okay, so after that's all tossed, you're gonna put them in the oven. You're gonna just do a single layer of them on a cookie sheet. And you're gonna put them 20 minutes on one side at 450, another 20 minutes on the other side. So I've already got one in the oven. I'm gonna go ahead and get it prepped while we get ready for the next person to talk, and we'll come back to me.
Okay, perfect, perfect. All right, Miss Shar, what you got for us?
Well, I've got a Dublin coddle. I think it's authentic, but I added a little bit to it like I always do, and I will have the recipe uploaded later. But I had to cook it for an hour and a half and another half hour to prepare it. So I had to do it ahead of time. So what's involved is put it in a Dutch oven. And it's green. It's a green one. So it consists of bratwurst, potatoes, of course. Potatoes is a staple in Ireland. I don't know if you've all heard about the potato famine in Ireland in 1846 to 1852. Nearly 1 million people died from the potato famine. It was a blight that got all the potatoes. And another 1 million actually left and immigrated to other countries. So the population really went down there. So, but a potato is a staple there because of the ground. Potatoes are easy to grow. And oh my gosh, this looks really good. I will show you later. In the meantime, I'm also going to have pretzel rolls that I'm going to put in the oven. I'm going to cut them and put butter on them and thyme as well. I like thyme as a little seasoning. So I'm going to put that, I'll put those together and put those in the oven. And then you can come back to me later.
Okay. And what, Miss Lori, our dessert? There you
Okay,
go.
can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I chose something I've never made before, of course. It seemed like everything I Googled about an Irish dessert had apples in it. So I looked for something that was very traditional. I tried to do some research, and I found one that is it's a cast iron Irish apple cake. And so you bake it in your cast iron. And I thought that was pretty cool because I love cast iron. So the ingredients are 2 cups of flour, 2 tablespoons or teaspoons of baking powder, not soda, but powder. You put that in a bowl and then a stick of butter. And so I already did that. I already crumbled it. I'm going to try to show it to you here. It doesn't, I don't know if you can see the texture or not, but it's not like when you do pie dough, it's more crumbly. This is very fine crumbled. So the ratio to the butter and the flour is different than because I thought it would be more like pie dough, but it's not. It's very, very fine. So, but you have to really work it, and I like to do it with my hands. So I did it ahead of time so I'd be able to go ahead and touch the screen. So I've got that all together. I've got the baking powder, the flour, the butter together. And then you take 1/3 of a cup of sugar and a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon and 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, which I don't know if you can see on the top here. I've got it on the top there. And I'm just going to sprinkle it in and mix this around. And then I don't know if you know or not, but like if you make a yeast, any kind of yeast bread or, you know, something with yeast, it loves to be played with. You play with it, play with it, play with it. When it is something that is more of a quick bread, you want to make sure you get it all mixed before you put your liquid, or it may It won't raise as good. Sometimes the texture is tough. It's just not. So you want to make sure you really get this mixed very well. Okay. Then you put a well in the middle. And I don't know if you're familiar with putting a well in the middle, but what you do once you get everything mixed up, you actually just do what it says. You put a well in the middle of it. You bring all your stuff up the sides. Then you take your half a cup of milk, 1 egg, and Stacy will be very familiar with this. I have Mexican vanilla. And I have a huge bottle of it, so I keep it poured in a small bottle.
Yep.
So I don't have to deal with trying to pour out of a big bottle. The vanilla is just a teaspoon, but the vanilla is very strong.
Very
so
strong.
I do like 3/4 of a teaspoon. I do a little more than half, but I don't do a full, or it really is a bit too much. I have very few recipes that I actually put the full amount. Then you whisk all this up, you put it in the center, and then you gently mix it. I don't know if you want to go to somebody else and then come back to me so you can see what the dough looks like. Okay, awesome.
Yep. So I'm going to give you a little bit of information about our St. Patrick's Day while we're celebrating. So St. Patrick he's not a bishop. He's actually was a missionary. He did his own autobiography that they found because no one really knew about him. But in the 5th century, he came back to Ireland where he was abducted from. He was abducted from Britain by some gypsies, brought to Ireland where he worked their farm, and then he escaped, went back home and became a cleric. There he got in the ministry and came back to Ireland because he wanted to introduce Christianity to the Irish pagans, is what he called them. And that's what he did the rest of his life. He became very well loved, and they celebrate his death, and they are saying that it was March the 17th. No one really knows for sure because they didn't have quite, the documentation that we do now, but that's the day that they've officially set as his day that he passed away, and that's the date that they celebrate. One of the other things is when you go over there and celebrate St. Patrick's Day is you are inundated with food and wine and liquor, beer. And everybody's like, well, why? Well, there's actually a culture over there. It's a religious culture that on that day, they actually release some restrictions on the types of foods and drinks they can have. And one of them is beer and high calorie beef, foods. And so people go on St. Patrick's Day and really indulge that one time a year that their religion doesn't allow them to have certain foods and drinks. So that's why on St. Patrick's Day, you have some high indulgence of both food and alcoholic drink. The other thing I wanted that I researched is the Shamrock. Everybody looks at the Shamrock as, a cultural symbol of St. Patrick's Day. And the reason being is St. Patrick actually used the Shamrock as a symbol to show the Trinity of Christ, God, Christ, and the Holy Spirit. So the Shamrock was the perfect symbol to show because it was part of their country. It grew everywhere. It was abundant everywhere. So, and they knew what it was. So he used the Shamrock as his ministry tool, just like the Bible. He had the Shamrock to introduce the Trinity of Christianity. So that's how the Shamrock came into being. Leprechauns, unfortunately, is just a great folklore tradition, maybe true, maybe not, of Irish culture. It's just, he just happens to be around. Traditionally, a true leprechaun is red. He is not green. But in the 20th century, Ireland took a green initiative for the whole country. So the leprechaun became green instead of red. And why he wears green and why you wear green and get pinched. Yep. Does anybody know why you get pinched if you don't wear green? I do. So green is a color that leprechauns cannot see. So if you wear green, you are invisible to leprechauns, so they can't harm you. They can't play tricks on you. They can't steal from you. They can't do anything to you. So if you do not have on green and somebody comes up to pinch you, they are reminding you that you are visible to leprechauns. You can be hurt. You can be pranked on. So that's why you wear green. Are leprechauns real? In Ireland, they say yes. Leprechauns are described as crotchety old men, grouch, that are shoemakers, and they hoard all their treasures, including gold, and they bury it. And they said that if you catch a leprechaun, number one, he has to give you his treasure. And number two, he will be good luck until he can escape. But if he escapes, he will curse you, take his treasure and yours. So if you catch a leprechaun, make sure he can't get away. If you, folklore says that if you are close to a leprechaun or a leprechaun colony, you will hear the tap, 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 tap of little hammers. So if you're ever in the woods and it sounds like you hear hammers or banging, it may be Bigfoot, I don't know, but they said in Ireland, it's gonna be leprechauns. And snakes. Unfortunately, St. Patrick is accredited with getting rid of snakes in Ireland. It was not St. Patrick. He is credited for it, but it was actually a saint back in, hold on, let me get you. His name was, he's an Irish mythology, Gildo Glass. He was a Gael, and it says, according to the mythology in Ireland, is that he was actually bitten by a snake, okay? And the venom was extracted using Moses's staff. And as a result, he wanted to make sure that he could use that testimony that he was not killed. So the bite mark stayed green. Now, I would have thought it was gangrene, but it said it stayed green so that it would remind him of the miracle that was performed on him. And as a result, he led his people to a snake-free colony or country, which was Ireland. So, but mythology and reality, who knows? But St. Patrick is accredited with running snakes out of Ireland, where Ireland has very few snakes to begin with because of the climate. So there's just a few tidbits. Hopefully you'll know something, so now you can tell people why you get pinched on St. Patrick's Day and run away when you hear little hammers. So, so Stacy, take it away.
All right. First of all, my father-in-law is the one who brought Oscar the Grouch into our family. And so he is, I mean, he likes to pinch people. He's not nice. He's grumpy. He hoards things. Leprechaun.
Leprechaun.
Leprechaun. The real Oscar the Grouch is at my mother-in-law's house. He's not allowed to visit here because we have dogs. He's allergic to dog fur. But anyhow, so I want a little bit of a do-over in that what I tossed my potato slices in was a mixture of olive oil, garlic salt, or actually garlic powder, fresh ground black pepper, some kosher salt, and a little bit of cayenne pepper. And I thought I had cayenne pepper in my spice rack. I found it in my chili mix. It only needed a pinch, so I was good. In a pinch, I used this. So I'm baking them up, and it wanted 40 minutes in the oven. So I know my toaster oven's quicker, and it's been about probably about yeah, about 20 minutes so far, and they're starting to get nice and brown. So I'll be putting the cheese on them and the bacon. You know, you can make your own bacon, but you know, by the magic of Costco, we have our bacon crumbles.
Yes, yes.
So I don't have to cook them.
There you go.
And we're going to be enjoying it as our dinner pretty soon. It's going to have all the food groups in it because I'm going to be topping it with chives, or with green onions. So I've got dairy and meat and
And veggies and
veggies.
starch. There you
I'm
go.
good.
You covered.
I got the whole meal covered here.
Miss Darlene, where'd you go? There you are.
Here I am.
Okay.
Okay, so if you can see this, I took the really crispy potato chips that were done. I arranged them in a nice little circular pattern. I put them back in the oven. I put the cheese on, and Stacey, I did cook my bacon. Sprinkled the bacon on, put it back in the oven for about 5 minutes, just enough to melt the cheese. And I've taken it out. I've put a little dollop of sour cream in the middle. If I were doing this again, I would find me a nicer platter to put this on, but they wanted a cast iron skillet for this part of the baking, and this is all I had. But I'm going to put a little bit of pico on the middle on my salsa, on my sour cream. Sprinkle some green onions around and some fresh parsley. You could use cilantro too, but I thought for this would be better. Now, I unfortunately did not have any Sauvignon Blanc, but I did have some of the More Than Muse Chardonnay. And I love Chardonnay, but I can see where the Sauvignon Blanc would be a little more milder. This is really a good wine. I'm so happy I have a couple bottles of this one. I didn't have the Sauvignon Blanc anymore. But anyway, that's what we're going to try it for as soon as this cools off a little bit. When you come back, my husband and I will let you know how we like it.
Perfect. All right, where's Miss Shar?
I'm right here.
There you go.
That looked yummy. So what does puddle actually consist of, and how you make it is, first you take bacon, the thick cut bacon, a pound of it, you cut it up into pieces, and I did brown it, and you take it off, drain off some of the bacon grease, and then you take a whole onion, you slice it in rings, and you saute the onions for about 7 minutes. Then you put chicken broth in, or beef, whichever. I use chicken broth. And then you slice your potatoes thicker, about 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch if you like them thick. And also the sausage, carrots. You also use a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar to tenderize the meat. And it gives it a really good flavor. And what else did I put in there? Oh, and black pepper. That's pretty much it. And you just bake it in the oven for 1.5 hours, and it comes out beautiful. And I tasted it, and it's out of this world. And I am pairing mine. I only had one white left, and it was my Green Cru, my Hudson Chardonnay 2018. So it actually pairs very well with this. So that's what I have. And we'll plate that up later.
Okay. All right, Miss Lori, how you coming along over there?
Okay, so when I left you, I had my dry ingredients. I was whipping up my eggs and my milk and the vanilla. I put it in, and it's a pretty thick. It says it's similar to scones. I've never made scones, but this is the dough. It's thick.
Oh,
See,
yeah,
can you see how thick it is?
yeah.
So you put that in the bottom of a cast iron. Now, this is what I did. I only have one cast iron skillet, and of course, that's the one I made earlier today. So this is you need a 10-inch, and this was the next closest thing I had. They said you could just put the oil in it or parchment paper. I went ahead and did parchment paper because it's so deep, and I was afraid I wouldn't be able to get it out. So I decided to do it in parchment paper. So I put the parchment paper, I put the dough down in there. Then it doesn't take very many apples. It says 1 big apple. I have 2 small apples. It recommends Granny Smith. I didn't have Granny Smith, but I had Honeycrisp. So it says to Slice them thin. So I don't know if you can see or not, but I sliced mine quite thin. That way you make sure it really gets done. I like my apples done. So you want an apple that's not going to kind of turn into applesauce when it's
Right.
baked. It's still, but yet it's not crispy. So once you get this, your dough all into your pan, then you take your apples, and as you can see there, I've got the cinnamon on. You put a little bit more cinnamon. I like a lot of cinnamon, so I put a little more cinnamon and just a dash of clove. And then you just put that on top. So if you wanted to be all fancy, you had guests coming, I would say you could probably put a pattern or something in it because they stay right on the top. A lot of the recipes didn't, but they also admitted that they had changed or done something to the recipe that it wasn't traditional. This is supposed to be traditional. So I just spread it around on the top, and then you bake it at 350. Let me see, I think it was 20 minutes. 30 to 35 minutes till a toothpick comes out.
Clean. Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and stick this one in the oven. And then when you guys are ready, I'll miraculously have one done and cooled so I can cut it for you.
Get your magic oven.
Yeah.
The Honey Crisp, the one thing about us is when we, down here in the South, when we make anything with apples, we have certain apples like Macintosh apples and golden gala apples and golden delicious apples. That's what we use to make our jams and jellies, because they do turn into mush when they get heated. The Granny Smith apples, the Honey Crisp apple, what's that other one? I
kind of like galas too. You have to be careful with them. They will get mushy.
Yep.
Like when I do an apple pie, I usually always do 3 kinds of apples, and I will throw, you just have to be careful to not slice the galas as thin as the, the
Macintosh
Honey Crisp and yeah,
because they will, but they can make, I know when we go and do apple picking, like mid-September, we get those apples and come home and make apple butter. And applesauce. It's just, yeah. That's one thing my husband was like, our apple tree died. And he was like, when are you going to make apple anything? And I was like, well, we got grapes. we had grape jelly.
Yeah, love apples. Love apples.
Love apples. With my grandson, he will eat an apple before he will eat candy. And I'm so glad of that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
I'll
So
still pick candy.
why? So why are we here, guys?
Fine when we get our turn.
So here's what we are here for. We are in our Wine of the Month Club, and it's a club that we get to discover a new wine just about every month. And we come and do this show every week, and we feature a meal and a wine from our club. And it's a great opportunity if you're not very cultured or not used to a fine wine. This is one of those ways you can get introduced to it and develop that palate of the extraordinaire. You can go to the grocery store and get any wine. It's going to taste the same from year to year to year based on the way they process it. These wines will not taste the same from year to year because they are processed in the traditional fashion. They are not bottled until they are ready. And you can come in as a customer and get 4 bottles of wine every month delivered straight to your door for as little as $100 a month. If you want to make it into a business venture, we have that opportunity too. You can come in as an estate member, you can come in as a reserved, or you can come in as a Grand Cru, which is the Mac Daddy snob of our program. And it's there for you. If you're not sure what you want to do, if you're not sure if the wines are really good, I suggest don't say that in this group. But, the wines are excellent. Just give it a try for a couple months, so you can see what kind of wines we're getting. They come directly from Napa and Sonoma Valleys with some of the most elite wine sommeliers that are there. They make our wines for us. So just get with the person that invited you here and they will be able to tell you how to get started, either as a customer or as a business partner. And then you can come in and be invited to maybe cook on a show, feature your cooking skills, your culinary activities, and feature it and pair it with one of the wines that we have. And get your palate, more adventurous. Get it to that point to where it can distinguish between a good fine wine and a cheap, Kool-Aid type wine, punch wine. So that's what we have for you today. We're going to go back to Miss Stacy and see how she's coming. If she's ready to take a bite, serve it up, and see what it tastes like with her wine.
I am. And, I want to say I've not made these before, but the house smells really good. And when the bacon and the cheese came out, I have both dogs. All right. So I'm going to try and this was the first little batch. I only used 3 russet potatoes. Let's see here, find my camera.
There you go. Oh, yes.
It's a little warm. Oh yeah, I like that it's a finger food. It's great for, a party atmosphere, because then you still have a hand for holding your wine. The wine actually becomes sweeter. And I'm thinking it's because of the ingredients that I used, the seasonings, as well as the bacon.
Mm-hmm.
And then the potato just kind of pulls it all together. This is going to be a fun do-over.
So Roy, you can jump in at any time or now and give us some comments on the tastings. Like Stacy said, her wine actually tastes sweeter because of maybe the seasonings that she used on her potatoes.
That's the whole fun of wine, right? Is wine itself is great, but when you pair it with the right foods, it's an event. It's a flavor event. The flavonoids from the food and the wine are going to just pair up and be a diverse change in your mouth, right? And here's the thing, Stacy. So yes. You got that contrast. Now try it. You can enjoy it with a different food that's around there. Like the thing with the mill is usually you got a pretty much balanced, vegetables, fruits, your main course. The wine's going to taste different when each of those separately as well as together, and just enjoy it. And what's going to happen is you're learning new flavors and doing that. And the more you pair foods and wines together, the better your tasters become. So when the next wines come out, you're going to be able to discover even more. And you guys will hear these terms where I'll say like, man, that has a leathery finish. You're like, oh, I've never chewed on leather. Well, go get a leather belt and chew on it. I was raised as a kid, leather belts, I knew what it tasted like. So you just go through life, right? And you pick things up, but it's an amazing, depiction of those flavors. And you're exploring and learning, your brain's learning these flavors as you blend them, and you'll remember them. And the taste of like my favorite thing, right? Merlot and chocolate, dark chocolate. That taste just makes me happy, right? And you'll find things that make you happy. So you'll go from learning about the taste and the flavors to learning what flavors excite your senses, right? What smell tastes good, and you should be enjoying the meal in a slower pace than what we've been used to, and especially when wine's involved. This is one of my favorite things about wine in a meal is it should slow you down to just reflect, enjoy, and especially take advantage of that amazing meal that was prepared for you. Even carrots taste better with wine, and you're slowly taking that in, and you should be enjoying every morsel of food with that wine, and you're learning, your brain's learning. So when you taste more wines, you're gonna be able to associate the flavonoids together, right? There's like 250 different flavors out of wine that come out of the flavonoids. And when you pair those with food, you're gonna bring those out and highlight them and get more adjusted to it. This is the funnest part of wine to me, is what it opens up. And I can't think of anything out there that quite opens things up like wine. Wine pairs with about everything. Last week you guys saw me do with the pipe. The wine is just one of those things that is a very good, actually I say good's not the word. It's a perfect way to explore and learn about tastes, smells, and even textures. It'll change the way your tongue is reacting to the salad even. You know, when you break things up, the acids in the wine will break down the salad dressing and the raw vegetables in a different way than without the wine. All these things are things you learn and adapt to, and then you start appreciating it. And then you go out there. You know, I'll get to a point where I'll sit down at a meal. I bring up carrots because we have carrots with a lot of things. We're gonna have carrots tomorrow with our corned beef, right? And I know that glaze on there, that when Tanny gets done cooking it, is going to be incredible with the wine. I already know what it's going to taste like because I just know. And I'll sit down at a meal at a table and they bring out the plate and the vegetables on the side, and I'll see like the mashed potatoes or the, you know, even beets or anything like that. And I'm like, oh, that's going to be really interesting with this wine. I'm already into that mode to try it and taste it. Sometimes even before I cut into that steak or that chicken or whatever the main dish is, I like to experiment with that because it reminds me of what I've had before, but sometimes I already know, like, oh, that's going to be really good. That's the fun part about it. That's why I call it an event. I can talk about this forever, obviously, but yeah, I mean, you guys, corned beef tomorrow, break out the Sauvignon Blancs, the Chenin Blanc, and when in doubt, Pinot Noir will go well with it all.
All right, Miss
Throw that in
Darlena, what you got? Ready to taste it up?
Opa.
There you are.
Yep.
Oh, there you go.
We are definitely ready. So let me introduce my husband. We've been married 53 years, so we always enjoy having wonderful meals
amazing.
together.
Wow,
So
congrats.
here is our little tasting tray, and I've been sipping on my More Than Muse Chardonnay for the last hour, getting used to it. Now I want to try it with the food and see the difference on it. So
Go slow, Darlena.
okay, here we go, nice and slow.
Good.
Definitely a difference, but just a very slight one. You really have to pay attention to that difference to really recognize it. Before, I think I tasted more of the acidity within this Chardonnay, and the lemony flavor to me is what I experienced with it. And I think once I identified the lemony flavor to it, it was hard to identify things beyond that, but it's really good. It is not as oaky as a lot of the wines, the Chardonnays that I've had before. And I really, really like this wine. It's really good. So that's what I found with it. It complements this just amazingly. And it tastes so much different with the wine versus without the wine. You have to take time to actually experience it. Otherwise, you're just guzzling the wine down and eating the food and not even paying attention to it.
Yeah, you're missing the fun. Missing the fun.
More than anything with this is to really enjoy the wine for what it is. I mean, you know, these are fine wines. They're not just box stuff that you're just drinking like water. You need to take time to really enjoy it. And that's what Kurt and I have, you know, started to do and really have learned a lot over the last couple of years of being with Wine Ambassador.
That's awesome, Darlene. Do me a favor. Take some wine and swish it around your mouth before the next bite. Get a real good coating. A lot of times the first bite, your brain's starting to put it together. Unless you've really done it a long time, you want to really coat before you do the food tasting and just kind of overemphasize the wine, and then it'll adjust a little bit better. Just trying to help out.
You know what, Rory? What I find is before I was trying to identify the difference in the wine, but it makes a difference in the food as well.
It's both.
So
it's a complementary thing.
That is awesome.
But do that swish around. And it, because you want to coat your mouth, because your mouth will have the wine taste, then you put with the food. Sometimes people do it backwards. They do the food first, and then they do the wine after. Your body's already adjusted the taste. It's got the salt, the sweets. It's already found a location for your receptors in your mouth. So when you coat it with wine first, and then bring the food in, it's actually a better experience.
That's
I
great.
find.
Definitely makes a difference. Yes, indeed.
Just here to help.
There you go. All right, Miss Shar, you ready?
I am so ready. Holding back on this. I forgot one of the ingredients in this.
No one needs to know.
Guinness beer. Okay, a cup of Guinness beer.
Really?
that it cooked in. And I thought it would have more broth than this, but it's more of a stew and everything absorbed in it. So let me pull it down.
Oh, that still looks amazing.
That looks extremely Irish and good.
It is very Irish. I love it. Okay, so we're going to do the wine first.
And you did the discoveries, right?
No, I did
Um,
the Hudson Grand Cru
Hudson.
Chardonnay,
Chardonnay.
2018. It's the only white one.
Oh, you went with the Grand Cru Chardonnay.
That's
Yes,
the one
I
she
did.
had left.
It's a Grand Cru night. We're bringing
I'm a
out the
snob.
expensive stuff tonight.
I'm a snob. Here we go. And I made the pretzel with butter and I put thyme on mine as well. I like that as an accent. So
Do you know what? Do you know what oh, is Peter on here?
No, I couldn't find him.
Oh, he's gonna shoot me, so I'll just go ahead and put it out there. We have a Grand Cru. Channing yelling at me. We got a Grand Cru Sauvignon Blanc coming out. Just saying.
wow.
We've been waiting for it for a long time. Channing's gonna get mad at me. And it's Sauvignon Blanc. Guys, we have some great stuff coming out. I think it might be here next month. It's anyway, heads up. We got more Grand Crus already. They've been in barrels and being made for years. They're finally ready. Speaking of
So,
that,
yeah,
you brought the Grand Crus. We got new releases of those coming out too.
How's it taste, Char?
oh, it really it made it creamy, and there's no dairy in this at all, but it made it really creamy.
Well, the Chardonnay is going to break that up in a different way, right? So it's going to smooth it all out. And the thing about our Chardonnays is, you guys mentioned before, a lot of Chardonnays are known to be oaky. I actually don't like the oaky Chardonnays.
No.
I don't like them when they're super buttery. I like a little bit of buttery in some of them, but I don't like. It used to be every Chardonnay you got was buttery. It was a thing, and it just got ridiculous. But our Chardonnays, we cut out the oak and the buttery side, but more the traditional Napa Chardonnay. And so you're gonna get the creamy taste, kind of like the buttery, but not overly. And that's what you're tasting. And whatever is in there is bringing that out. That's what you're getting. You're getting that the buttery undertones of the Chardonnay to cream it out. That's what you're getting.
The Grand Cru Chardonnay is pretty good.
Oh, that's a great Chardonnay.
I'll tell you.
And that's the construct of that wine. That's why it's a Grand Cru. It's what goes into it that makes those highlights come out. And it's having it be, that way. That Chardonnay, by the way, if someone were to take because I've done it, you take a ribeye, about medium rare to medium, just char that fat with that, you will be like, oh, I love this wine so much.
With meat. Wow. I would never think that.
Chardonnay and like a fatty meat, like a ribeye.
Oh yeah.
I had a sommelier do it for me when I was in Australia. And I remember the taste. And when we came back and we were going through with the winemakers, that particular Chardonnay, that was the first thing I went and did it with on my own, and went, yeah, we did it. That's all I wanted for me. But I'm telling you, that particular Chardonnay, that Grand Cru, oh, it's so good with the ribeye.
So good.
I'm just telling you guys this for just knowing me as a foodie. I now want to go make that, and I'm not even hungry, and I want that right now.
I'm thinking the same thing. Hurry up and send that recipe, because
Okay.
I got
It's
a
coming.
roast.
Coming away.
I got a roast in the refrigerator thawing out, and I was like, that might be pretty good right there.
Well, we love stews anyway, but that looks so Irishly good. Yeah, sure. Good job.
It's awesome. Thanks.
All right, Miss Lori, let me see that cake. There you
Having
go.
trouble unmuting myself. Okay, so this is the pan that you're really supposed to bake it in, is this kind of thickness. And then that's what it looks like.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and then you're supposed to put powdered sugar on it, but I didn't want to do that because then you couldn't see the apples. But it just lifts right out. Put it on your cutting board. And it comes right off the paper. That's kind of
Wow.
really cool. I might have to start using that stuff a little more often. That was very convenient. Okay, I don't know.
So this is dinner.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, so this is on the cutting board, and Said a couple of different things, but it ended up thicker than I thought it would be. It raised more than I thought it would be. And then it's like you cut it like a pie is what it was saying, which that kind of surprised me a little bit. So then when you cut it like a pie, you got your apples on the top.
That looks so freaking good.
And then
It almost looks like a strudel.
It does.
you know, I tasted the dough because I can't help myself. And it was kind of like that. Like it tasted really good. So probably, I think I will do this again, but I will do more apples and so it's more of a strudely on the top thing and maybe even make a strudel for the top. So then once you do that, they said whipped cream or ice cream is what you serve it with.
Oh, ice
So
cream.
I'm gonna give my husband a little bit of ice cream.
See?
He's the taster. He's the taster.
All right.
So there he
Cheers.
is. Can you see him? There.
Yep.
Happy
Oh,
St.
yeah.
Patty's Day, everyone.
His dad was 100% full-blooded Irish, and he was frowned upon because he married a half Finnish, half German girl. It didn't go over well, but his mom, she cooked more German, and he actually kind of preferred the German food over the Irish food. Where's your wine?
There we go.
Yeah, what wine are you having with that incredible looking pie?
Good.
Because you got,
We
by the way,
went-
you're cooking, you use Honeycrisp, which is my absolute favorite. Okay, so that'll go great. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that'll go great with the apples.
That we've said we had to do the St. Patty's Day one so Shar helped me. She helped me
Excellent.
like, okay, well that pair with the apples and because I don't drink anyway, she helped me with choosing what to get. Okay, so you're on stage, dear. How is it?
It's awesome.
The cake or he would never insult me anyway. He just would never.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, 41 years in May.
Wow.
Yeah.
But,
Congrats.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
He's got this thing that if we go to a restaurant and he orders something I make and it's incredibly good, he's like, oh my gosh, this is so good. And then he'll stop and he'll look me straight in the eye and he'll say, honey, but it's nowhere near as good as yours.
Yeah.
And that is why you've been married 41 years, my
41
friend.
years.
I get it. Cheers.
Rory, Mr. Peters here. He just came
Yes.
in.
Yes.
Oh,
sorry,
I gotta go.
No.
Sorry, everyone. Daylight. All the rest of you change your clocks, and it changes the time for me. So
It's okay, Peter. Everything's great.
Yep. Everybody's got the right wine and eating, and you came at the tail end. You get to see us eating.
oh wow. Well, that's great. I guess I missed all the food, but oh well. So and
Yeah,
I
it's
see
been a
you're-
great night as always. But yeah, I got myself in some trouble, Peter. I let him know that we do have a new Grand Cru on its way out. We know it's being bottled, something you and I have been waiting for. But you guys, it's gonna be the season of Sauvignon Blanc upon us soon. And
Yeah.
you guys know that we've been waiting for our wines to be done and to get bottled the right way. So you guys don't know what's coming, which is probably less torture. Peter, Tanya, and Adele, obviously we know what's coming and it's killing us because Peter and I are like, when is that one going to be ready? Because like, oh my gosh, that would be so good to do this with and so forth. But as summer is approaching, Sauvignon Blanc is like an amazing go-to. And I just want to, I slipped it out already, but you guys, we have a new Grand Cru Sauvignon Blanc coming out too. Small supply, and it's going to be ready. It's been in the makes for a long time, years. It's just so fun watching these come out. Awesome.
Yeah, and that one is really special. I mean, I know we love to go with Napa, but to actually get Rutherford AVA on a wine that we can offer is, it really gets me excited. That one, and I mean, when we tasted that one, we so much wanted to put it out right away, but
We did. We thought it was pretty much ready. This is a while ago, and winemakers are always like, we want it to, it's not finished. It's not where we want it to be. And we've learned, I mean, the Moscato was worth the wait. This is going to be definitely worth the wait. We already liked it before. We have gosh, we have some really good whites coming out, you guys. It's going to be the season. Watch, think about what you're doing this summer. You know, the barbecues you'll be doing outside. We have a very good assortment coming out. So I already slept on the one. Tanya's going to kill me, Peter, if I do the other one. I'm in trouble because as soon as I slipped out on that, I'm looking forward to this Sauv Blanc run. We got two. We got the Grand Cru, and then the other one. It's a Napa Sauvignon Blanc. It's
Oh, yeah.
unbelievable, and that's I think we get them here soon. Like I think it's coming out, right? Like
I think it's coming. Yeah, I think we're going to be, people start seeing them. I don't know if it's April, probably May for that one, but yeah, and we're going to be doing that one all summer because that's just such a great summer wine.
And we have another special white coming out that you guys, last time we did a release on this, it lasted about a month. That's it. And that comes out. I'm not going to break it. I don't want to get in too much trouble. It's very dear to Tanya. But yeah, we guys, it's great wines coming out. I think that's the fun part about what we know the season's coming. And then we're going to be tasting. We're going to be tasting the next releases here in May, guys. So we'll know what's coming out in the fall. And looking forward to that. There's so many already in the makes. It's just the fun part. What's going to be ready and the timing. You know, we're gonna have some fun with the next sparklings coming out later in the season. That being said, the sparkling Hudson, the sparkling Brut, and the sparkling Rosé, they are almost gone, and we're gonna be out of them for a little bit. So if you want some for any celebrations coming up, I suggest you get an order in.
Yeah, hurry, really, especially the Rosé. We only have, I think, maybe 20 bottles left of that. So
that we went through hundreds quick then. Yeah, so they're getting out there, guys, which it's you know, but we'll have more, but it's going to be a while away. So just heads up. We try to keep it all season. It just started going out really great, and we wanted the certain ones to be done, and they're almost there. So we're getting the cycle down. We hope to have that be year round and going forward. But anyway, some fun stuff coming out as we get there. Wow. All right, back to you, Sheila.
Perfect. And that's why we're here, guys. You hear all the little tidbits, little juicy stuff that's coming out. And so you can be ready. That was one of the things. So next week when you come in, we're going to have a whole new celebration. Next week is the Day of Color. We are going to be celebrating spring. And you know what spring brings, like Roy said, it's going to be barbecues, outdoor planning. It's going to be, you know, sitting around your campfire, sitting around your fire pits, vacationing, fishing at the lake, just relaxing on, like my husband, on the back deck with a cigar. You know, it's just one of those things. So come in next week. I want to thank all the cooks that were here today. It was amazing. You made me really hungry. I gained at least 10 pounds watching everybody cook and sample. And I'm still trying to get in bathing suit weather for Hawaii.
Yeah.
But again, guys, if you want to see what we are doing and want to be a part of that, please get with the person that invited you and be a part of us. We have all kinds of things that you can get involved with. Like I said, come in as a customer and just experience the wine, develop that taste. If you are already a wine connoisseur and want to go up to the wine snob, then come in as a business partner and grow your business and develop that taste, that palate for that extra step to go from connoisseur to snob. So again, thank everybody for coming. I appreciate it, and we will see you next week.
God bless.
thank you. Bye.